May 3rd, 1999. Oklahoma woke up to a sunny day, and suddenly,
This is just phenomenal, Mike.
Yes.
I mean, this is just absolutely incredible.
without warning,
Oh my
the
God.
strongest tornado in history struck.
Major damage here.
This is just the worst scenario that could happen. Look at it. It just looks like a steamroller came through here and just wiped everything out of its path.
Tearing everything apart and taking dozens of lives.
My sister-in-law was killed. She's over there in the bathtub. Oh, God.
Morning of May 3, 1999. The skies over Oklahoma looked harmless, but inside the Storm Prediction Center, alarms were building. A massive trough loomed across the west. A smaller disturbance raced out of the desert southwest, aiming straight for the plains. But the atmosphere was preparing for something far worse.
Conditions are pretty favorable for some explosive thunderstorm development. In fact, some of that's going on right now. There's going to be a threat of severe thunderstorms, large hail, and the possibility of some tornadoes with these storms.
11 a.m. Meteorologists at the SPC detected troubling signs 350 miles west of Bridge Creek. A wind profiler in the area detected a ribbon of intense winds moving several miles above the surface through radar. Water vapor satellite imagery confirmed this observation, pushing the SPC to upgrade much of the southern plains to a moderate risk. 3:20 p.m. A thunderstorm began to develop over northeastern Tillman County. 3:49 p.m. The SPC raised the alarm again, this time upgrading most of the southern plains to high risk. Gary England, the chief meteorologist at News 9, and the man credited with saving countless lives through his tornado warnings, stepped out the back door of the station to feel the weather for himself. The heat, the heavy humidity, the strange smell in the air, and the patches of sunlight breaking through the haze all reminded him of tornado outbreak 8/1974. That's when he turned to his team and said, "We're going priority 1. Priority 1 was reserved for only the most dangerous weather events." In moments, the entire News 9 studio shifted into a command center, fully focused on tracking the storm and warning viewers in real time. Outside, the atmosphere was quickly turning volatile. On the ground, Doppler on Wheels teams, which were part of a research project called Vortex 99, spread out strategically in the path of the storm. By 4:15 p.m., the NWS office in Norman issued a severe thunderstorm warning for the county as the system intensified over its southern half. 4:50 p.m., rotation within the supercell tightened rapidly at the cloud base. A tornado warning was issued for Comanche, Caddo, and Grady counties. Just 1 minute later, the first tornado touched down 7 miles east-northeast of Medicine Park along US Route 62. One after the other, tornadoes continued to form. Almost as soon as one dissipated, another appeared. And in total, 6 more touched down as the storm tracked northeast, including a powerful F3 that tore through central Grady County and heavily damaged the Chickasha Municipal Airport.
Here we have a large tornado, easily F3, maybe F4, long track, deadly tornado. It is moving through northern sections, extreme northern Chickasha, the airport area.
6:23 p.m. As the storm neared State Highway 92, it showed no signs of letting up. What started as a faint swirl in the grass quickly grew into a funnel. This was the 9th tornado from the same supercell, and it was about to become one of the most destructive in history.
South of Amber, multiple vortexes now going to another large tornado. And I also want to mention here, I've got big small-sized hail falling out of this as well. Which is also
The tornado developed in Grady County, about 2 miles south of Amber, and quickly grew into a massive wedge, nearly a mile wide, with winds strong enough to level almost anything in its path.
This is a gigantic tornado. This conceivably could be a deadly tornado. Most structures, most houses will not survive this.
The few homes on the southern and eastern edge of Amber faced its full force. As the storm moved east of Amber, it left nothing untouched.
Oh my! Look at the stuff in the air. Oh, look at the stuff.
Yeah.
Debris.
Holy shit.
By the time it reached the outskirts of Bridge Creek, The mile-wide vortex had intensified to an F5. It was the highest possible rating on the Fujita scale, which meant the winds had turned into one of the most violent twisters ever documented. A mobile Doppler radar positioned within the area initially recorded winds reaching up to 301 miles per hour, but a reanalysis in 2021 revised it to 321 miles per hour. This measurement was taken at an elevation of 105 feet, which set the record for the highest wind speed ever recorded within a tornado by a mobile Doppler radar. The data recorded from the DOW team became instrumental in understanding the structure and power of the F5 tornado. The intensity of the storm was unprecedented, and it was clear that the damage would be too.
I hope people can see, I don't know if they can see what we're seeing, if the picture's really clear, but this is just phenomenal, Mike.
Yes.
I mean, this is just absolutely incredible.
We now have reports of car.
The first to get hit was the Willow Lake Estates. The wind puffed trailers and smashed them to pieces, and 2 homes were completely destroyed. Hugh Underwood was at home in his trailer with his family when he saw the tornado bearing down on them. Within seconds, the tornado tore through the home, ripping it apart. His wife was killed instantly, and Hugh was left with severe critical injuries. But even in unbearable pain, he stayed calm and comforted his stepdaughter and granddaughter, determined to keep them safe. But due to having critical injuries, he passed away shortly after. A Grady County deputy, Robert Jolly, was surveying the wreckage for survivors and victims when he saw something peculiar. It looked like a rag doll or a crumpled shirt, but when he moved closer, he realized it was a person buried in debris. He pulled the body out to discover 10-month-old Alea Crago caked in mud. The little girl had survived miraculously, while others in her family had either died or become severely injured when their trailer was blown apart. 12 people lost their lives in Bridge Creek, 9 of them in mobile homes. More than 39 others were injured as the tornado pushed northeast toward Bridge Creek Estates. By now, the storm had grown nearly a mile wide and was completely shrouded in rain, making it impossible to see. Some of the worst destruction happened along Redbud Lane, where 6 homes were completely flattened and several were swept away without a trace. As the storm roared on, officials at the National Weather Service drove a short distance south on Interstate 35 to get a clear view. They had already issued warnings, but they knew that many Oklahomans had heard so many tornado warnings in the past that they might not take this one seriously. But this was no ordinary tornado, and people needed to understand what was coming.
Oh my gosh. Folks, we plead with you, just go to your safe spot.
6:57 p.m. David Andra from the Norman NWS office issued something that had never been done before: a tornado emergency for the southern Oklahoma City metro. The alert was blasted to weather radios, emergency managers, and media outlets across the region. This was the very first tornado emergency ever issued. It wasn't an official NWS product at the time, and it had never even been discussed before that day, but the situation called for extraordinary action. Meanwhile, the tornado was paralleling Interstate 44, eventually moving across Bridge Creek and the rural parts of northwest Newcastle. The twister was a mile wide in this area, causing continuous F4 damage. The tornado crossed the highway twice at F4 strength. On the overpass, a woman who had taken shelter was pulled down the embankment by the winds. Her 11-year-old son survived by clinging to the steel girders with all his strength. Another man who had helped them climb to safety was struck by flying debris. A highway sign sliced into his leg, leaving him with severe injuries. But he managed to survive. 38 homes were destroyed by the tornado in McLean County, and 17 people were left injured. 7:10 p.m. A satellite tornado touched down over an open field north of Newcastle, but was rated F0 due to lack of damage. Meanwhile, the main vortex crossed the I-44 and the Southern Canadian River northeast of Newcastle and entered Cleveland County. By the time it reached the south side of Oklahoma City, southwest of 149th and May Avenue, its winds had weakened to an F2. The tornado had narrowed to less than a quarter-mile wide, and for a moment, it seemed as if the worst had passed. But that hope didn't last long. Within minutes, the tornado rapidly re-strengthened, climbing from F2 to F4 and then to F5 strength as it moved northeast across South Oklahoma City, entering more just west and north of 12th and Santa Fe.
The transformers go on and more lights going off in the city. I mean, this is it's a light show, Mike. It's incredible. There's just stuff blowing up all over.
That is an incredibly tragic scene for Moore. We pray that you folks are safe. This is an F4 tornado going through Moore Live.
The next target was Country Place Estates, which was hit with incredible force. John Szymanski, a police officer, was at home in Country Place Estates with his wife Dixie, just south of Southwest 134th Street. John grabbed Dixie and dragged her into a small interior closet, which was their only option. But the storm threw him across the street and broke his leg, while Dixie suffered severe fractures and open wounds. She miraculously survived.
Pretty much the left side of my face, my nose, my neck, my eye.
Jaw.
My jaw. My head.
Was crushed.
Yeah.
The left side of the face is titanium.
Country Place Estates experienced the full force of the F5 tornado. Multiple new brick veneer homes were blasted off their slab foundations, and many vehicles were flung a quarter-mile or more across Pennsylvania Avenue. A massive section of an airplane wing was also discovered on the site, and according to police reports, it had been ripped from one of the aircraft destroyed at the Chickasha Municipal Airport, almost 30 miles away.
We are right now at Southwest 134th Street, between May and Penn in the Country Place edition. As you can see from a little bit earlier, we arrived here at the scene about 5 minutes after the tornado ripped right through this area and continued going.
With Country Place left in ruins, the tornado barreled into the densely packed Greenbrier Eastlake Estates, where the destruction reached a whole new level. Houses weren't just swept away, they were shattered into pieces. The strong winds hurled vehicles several miles away, mangling them beyond recognition. Several cast iron manhole covers that weighed more than 250 pounds were sucked up and carried away. Thanks to constant warnings on TV and radio, hundreds of residents had already taken shelter. Just outside of Eastlake Estates, an honor ceremony was underway at Westmore High School. When the tornado warning came through, school officials quickly moved nearly 400 parents and students out of the auditorium and into reinforced hallways and bathrooms. There, they waited in silence as the storm drew closer. The tornado never struck the school directly, but the parking lot outside was devastated. Nearly 200 cars were rolled, tossed, or completely destroyed. Some were hurled hundreds of yards into nearby homes.
Mass exodus of about 300 people coming from Westmore High School. Now, these people earlier today were stuck inside as the storm came through and peeled away the school's roof. As far as we know, no one was injured there. They were finding their way to safety. Now, tonight, police continued to search for survivors.
The tornado then crossed Western Avenue and tore through the 600-unit Emerald Springs apartment complex. The southern side of the property suffered only broken windows and roof damage, but the northern side was devastated. 3 people lost their lives in the aftermath, and many others were injured. Crossing Northwest 12th Street, the storm carved deep cyclodial scars into an open field before entering one of Moore's most densely populated neighborhoods, Regency Park. The tornado cut diagonally through the neighborhood, destroying everything in its way. With F4 intensity and a 150-yard wide core, the twister swept many homes completely off. The bolt-down gun safe was ripped from the floor of one house and hurled through the roof of another, causing the structure to collapse. A car was thrown onto the remains of a garage, partially dislodging the vent pipe of the underground storm shelter beneath it. 4 people were killed on the eastern side of Regency Park, but the tornado was still not finished.
Large explosion.
Tremendous, folks. We have to just express
Large
to you
explosion.
This is 200-mile-per-hour winds plus now moving toward I-35 in Moore. Look at all the debris in the air. Folks, please, we plead with you, you absolutely have got to get down. Get to the lowest level you possibly can. Please, get down now. If you're I-35, get out of your car. If you're east of I-35 over to Tinker Air Force Base, please, we plead with you, go get safe.
Kelly Elementary School also suffered significant damage. And from there, the tornado broke into the Highland Park area. Although it had weakened somewhat, it was still powerful enough to level houses, and one house was demolished beyond imagination. The winds blew everything away, leaving only a bare slab behind. The photo of the empty foundation later became one of the clearest textbook examples of true F5 destruction. After crossing Southwest 89th Street, just south of Interstate 240, stood a 35,000 square foot American Freightways terminal directly in the path of the tornado as it began a long, sweeping arc to the north.
It's on 240. I'm a mile east of Sunny Lane. It's on 240 at Sunny Lane. I've got major damage here.
A 36,000-pound freight car was lifted from the railroad tracks and blown nearly 3/4 of a mile. Deep gouge marks in the ground showed that it bounced along and was airborne for 50 to 100 yards at a time before slamming back down. The tornado then moved towards the Parkview neighborhood, and while the funnel had shrunk, the intensity tore apart house after house until crossing into the northwest corner of Del City.
I really can't describe it. It was just tremendous force inside the house. Just got hit with glass shards and dirt everywhere. And then it took a while, but it finally passed. After that, I could see daylight up in my house.
The densely packed neighborhood of Del Air was razed to the ground, with debris shredded into splinters. The twister then shifted east, barely missing a large apartment complex. Instead, it tore through a baseball field and running track at Tinker Air Force Base. Then, it started moving north, running parallel alongside Interstate 40, and the funnel tore through a massive commercial strip. Nearly 800 vehicles on the lots of Hudiburg Auto Group were damaged, and more than a dozen were thrown over 300 yards across the highway, some even crashing into buildings on the other side. Multiple models and businesses like Hampton Inn and portions of Rose State College were destroyed.
Their cars just strewn over to the side. I mean, they're just twisted up. They're trying to get the people out, Mike. I mean, this is just the worst scenario that could happen.
Although the twister was initially rated F4, a later analysis of the damage showed it consistent to an F5. Its final path of destruction came as it went through the Holloway Park neighborhood, leveling dozens of homes and claiming its last victims. After an hour and a half, the tornado finally came to an abrupt end. As it crossed Reno Avenue, the winds rapidly lost strength, and the funnel dissipated just 3 blocks to the north, leaving behind a trail of devastation that stretched for miles.
I've never been in a war zone, don't want to be, but I can't imagine the devastation being much worse than this. I mean, the entire neighborhood, as you just said, is just absolutely destroyed.
My sister mom was killed. She's over there in the bathtub. Oh, God.
We have information from the police department that they are literally evacuating the town of Moore. They are moving people out of Moore as fast as they possibly can.
Incredible devastation. Hundreds of cars down there. An entire apartment complex wiped out. An entire subdivision wiped out.
9:25 p.m. Another deadly twister touched down 3 miles southwest of Cimarron City in Logan County, Oklahoma, before moving into the town of Mulhall, north of Guthrie. A Doppler on wheels mobile radar tracking the storm recorded the widest ever observed core flow circulation, with 1,600 meters separating the peak wind velocities on either side of the tornado.
That's in the Mulhall area. Gary Horker, Val Castor. Is anybody on that storm that's lifted rapidly to the northeast along Highway 74?
This monster was roughly 4.3 miles wide, with winds exceeding 96 miles per hour, making it the largest tornado ever measured. The DOW also detected a complex multi-vortex structure, with several smaller vortices rotating around the main funnel, each packing winds of up to 257 miles per hour. Although officially rated an F4, the tornado wiped out nearly 70% of Mulhall's 130 homes before dissipating around 10:45 p.m. in southeastern Noble County, about 3 miles northeast of Perry. But the nightmare wasn't over.
And so in the Crescent area, moving up toward Mulhall, another potential tornado developing. So this is the Guthrie area. So from Crescent to north of Guthrie to Mulhall, take your immediate tornado precautions.
Just minutes later, at 10:56 p.m., an F3 tornado touched down 2.5 miles south of Crescent, tearing through many of the same areas already ravaged by the Mulhall tornado. When the winds finally fell silent, the scale of destruction was staggering. The Cimarron City Mulhall Perry tornado had carved a 39-mile path of devastation, while the EF5 monster that tore through Bridge Creek and more left a 38-mile scar across Oklahoma, with winds measured between 301 and 321 miles per hour, the strongest ever recorded in a tornado.
And you could feel the air pressure start to change and the wind, and then we could even kind of feel like mist.
We were all in this close. All of us. My husband was carried over us like this.
Are extremely dangerous. The pungent odor of natural gas was very strong. They're still concerned about that in these neighborhoods. Obviously, no power, no electricity, water and gas spewing everywhere. The emergency crews are inside right now going through home to home, rubble to rubble, car to car, to see if they can find any more people inside that area.
More than 8,000 homes, over 1,000 apartments, 260 businesses, and 7 churches were damaged or completely leveled. The damage was estimated at $1.2 billion, making the Bridge Creek Moore tornado the first in U.S. history to surpass the $1 billion mark. The Ridge Creek Moore tornado was nearly as violent as the infamous Cimarron City Mulhall twister, but its human toll was even more devastating. 36 people were killed by the storm itself, with 5 more dying in the hours that followed along the Bridge Creek and Moore tornado path. It became the deadliest tornado to strike Oklahoma since the catastrophic Woodward F5 of 1947, which claimed 107 lives. Later research suggested that without live television and radio coverage, which gave residents crucial minutes to take shelter, the death toll might have been 600 or more. And though the rubble was cleared and homes were rebuilt, the memory of May 3, 1999 still hangs over Oklahoma.